I just wanted to make this video titled HTML is the new Markdown file. Markdown is great for agents. Don't get me wrong, if you've been in the vibe coding space, if you've messed around with Cloud, if you've messed around with Codex. I recently read a Twitter article by Tariq, who works at Anthropic, and he said that using Cloud Code, the unreasonable effectiveness of HTML. So I'm going to have it linked down in the description and probably pinned comments for you guys as well. If you guys want to take a look at that yourself, I highly suggest you follow him because he's one of the employees at Anthropic and there's a lot of useful insights that you can find from him. I now see that Andres Karpathy has also tweeted about that. I personally have not read that, what Andres has to say about this, but I'll definitely go take a look at that. I'm just making a quick video because this has been a game changer for me. So as an example, I'm currently doing a 72-hour fast where I'm only consuming water and tea. I'm 36 hours in. I'm going to look at some recipes for some whole foods and some foods that I should use to break the fast. Because the whole reason I'm doing the 72-hour fast is because I started slacking with my diet a little bit. I got off the righteous path, so to speak. So I wanted to look at some healthier alternatives. So I asked Cloud, for example, over here, I said that I'm 36 hours into my 72-hour fast. I want to have some healthy whole food recipes to break it. And going forward to eat healthy, I needed to perform research on easy whole foods, nutritious recipes that I could make. And my goal is 3,000 calories per day. I'm 190 centimeters tall. I'm 29 years old. I'll be getting back into exercise. I also want to eat healthy dessert options with no artificial sugar sweeteners. Healthy, nutritious, natural. So yada, yada, yada. You guys get the point. I asked it to go perform some research for me. It asked me some questions. I told it that I have no dietary restrictions. And I also said that I'd be interested in filming a series for YouTube about cooking. I'm going to make a separate channel for that. And then it went ahead and it performed the research for me. Now, look at the document that it created for me. This is very boring to me. First of all, I mean, it's very useful, but it's very boring. And the same for making markdowns for different agents. Like, let's say you have a code base and you have markdowns of instructions for your agent. Or let's say, for example, you have a GitHub repo that has markdowns of how everything works. That might be intuitive if you're using agentic systems, right? Because maybe you're switching from Codex to Cloud, and then you give Codex the markdowns of what you've created, and it's able to read and decipher off of that. But if you want to teach another human, and if I want to personally read knowledge, HTML is by far the way to go because it's just so much more intuitive. It's so much more fun. It's so much more fun, and especially as a visual learner, it's so much easier for me to retain and process that information through HTML. So what I just told it was super simple after it did that research for me, right? I said, now, perfect. Can you turn that document into an interactive HTML for me? And I didn't even give it any design specs for the HTML. I'm sure you could get more in the nitty gritty of it, but I just told it to go make an interactive HTML for me, and this is what it made me right now. It made me this refeed HTML, which I'll quickly open. Game changer. It gives me my protocol. It gives me my macros. It gives me my recipes, my meal plan. It gives me an interactive, like here, for example, here's some recipes that I can cook. So it tells me the calories, protein, carbs, fat. I didn't even ask for any of that. And then when I click on the card itself, it's a little drop down which tells me the ingredients. It tells me the method. I could go further in and say, like, teach me how to prepare these methods, etc. But this is just from a basic, simple, minimalist prompt. And the fact that the capabilities are this amazing is a game changer because not only can it be applied to this, it can be applied to literally anything. Any knowledge learning topic. If you want to study, you can give your notes, you can give your coursework even. If you have, you give your coursework even, I'm assuming, right? If you have a lecture and you can say, can you make an interactive HTML for me to learn this? I've even done it with my World of Warcraft research that I've done with Cloud Code because I play WoW. I really feel like agentic systems and the way AI is going is just going to make our lives so much more intuitive and less frictionless, and it's going to only increase in scalability for us to learn the things that we're passionate about. It's going to help just facilitate exploring our own interests, if that makes sense. I'm super tired, I'm rambling and I'm babbling, and I'm not such a technical person. I know a little bit of Python without the assistance of AI. I can write Python, but I'm a beginner in this. I wouldn't even say I'm intermediate in Python. I'm doing some university courses on Python, so I'm not allowed to use AI. And I have noticed now, since adopting Claude Code and Codex into my workflow, that I've become a lot worse in terms of learning. I used to be Prior to December, I used to be very against using AI tools. I didn't want to use Cloud Code because I read the best way to learn is to embrace the friction, yada, yada, yada. But come December, I heard so much. But during December, I heard so much hype about Cloud Code. And then I finally gave in to Cloud Code, I believe in like February or March. I have to check when did I start committing on GitHub. Whenever my commits went up, now that it's like only over 1K, whenever my commits went up, that's when I started vibing. And now I'm just lost in the sauce, bro. But I need to start learning again. So I'm actually vibe coded like my own. Vibe coded my own like learning. Vibe coded my own like gamified learning systems. But I'm definitely going to have to learn more of the foundations and more of the basics, because being completely honest, the amount of things I've built, I can't tell you how anything works any of them. I could tell you like maybe bits and pieces here and there, like I could tell you an explanation, but if you were to ask me any technical questions on anything that I've built, I wouldn't be able to answer that, which is not good. But this is just insane, because now it's also telling me my MP1 revision build channel email list PDF MVP app, and tells me the benchmarks as well for what I asked it to, one meal at a time. And the fact that it built all of this from just the research document that I asked it to go do is amazing. To me, it's like astounding, because I didn't give it any specifications for the HTML. I just said, can you turn the research document into an interactive HTML? And just the utility of this, you can really apply to anything. Because what I'm thinking personally is, if you have a code base, right? If you have a large code base and you have some like MDs that you've created with AI, explaining the structure of the code base, how everything works. If you were to give that, if you were in a team, for example, if you were to give that code base to someone else in your team and they have to implement something, and for them to understand that, they could say, hey, they could tell their agents, hey, go look at this. How does everything work? How is everything structured? But if you wanted the human to understand it, you could just tell the agent to go create an interactive HTML where I can personally learn this, or can you help me understand this, X, Y, and Z, whatever use case for it is. And I didn't even know this existed until I was just browsing Twitter, and shout out to Tariq for writing an article about this, because this is going to change my life for the better. Like I said, I've used this for WoW. I've used this for this recipe. Also use this for projects that I'm building with AI, which are outside of my technical scope. I have no business making some of the stuff that I'm making, but it was able to then make an HTML on the entire program that I'm building and explain how everything works with interactive diagrams, with the architecture as well. Because another thing I'm interested in is having a persistent memory system for all these agents. Because Andrej Karpathy tweeted last month about LLM knowledge bases. Should I create an agent or like an AI brain that has all the history of my life and all the context of my life, and then export the data through of my like ChatGPT chats, export all the data of my Anthropic, and just feed it into that brain, so that if I were to switch between models, all the context of me lives there. And then going further on, could I also give that like to my OpenClaw, so it constantly has all the context of my life and everything that I'm doing all in one place. And now since I'm just vibing and working on projects that I have no business in terms of like technical ability.
You know how to work a soundboard?
No. I have no technical ability, and I know nothing about music.
You must know something.
Well, I know what I like and what I don't like, and I'm decisive about what I like and what I don't like.
So what are you being paid for?
The confidence that I have in my taste and my ability to express what I feel.
I have zero technical ability. I can have the AI agents as well. Like I can have Claude or Codex or my OpenClaw agent Zarathustra just make HTMLs for me and help me learn the fundamentals of how everything in the programs that I'm creating is working. What should I also go and learn? Where should I polish my technical depth? So that I understand what I'm actually building, and so I can understand the architecture of what I'm doing, so that as I scale these systems and they break, that I have some sense of what's going on, So I'm not just vibing, like going in with blind eyes and blind vibes, which is what I'm doing, to be honest. Like I have no idea how anything's working. I'm just into the aesthetics, I get a hit of that dopamine when I pull that slot machine and it delivers what I want. And I would like to think that I make this. I would like to think I'm aesthetically creative. So I would like to think I have taste, as Gary Tan would say. But anyways, that is it for this video. I am 37 hours into my 72-hour fast. I have not had the best sleep because my body's in a little bit of an alert state. So I decided to just make this video on this channel. And it's a little bit of a yap session, but I hope you found some value in it. As I mentioned earlier on, that I will leave the link to Tariq's article down below in the description. You guys should definitely check him out on Twitter. And another person that I forgot to mention was Tio. I think I've heard Tio talk about HTML in one of his videos on YouTube. But I'm generally playing World of Warcraft when I watch his videos, so I'm not always listening to them at full attention. But there's a lot of value in his content as well. Peace.